Hello, hello, embodied souls. Welcome to your weekly tarot reading. I'm really excited for this reading because we are looking at our medicine for Aquarius season, which we just stepped into this week. We've officially moved out of Capricorn and into Sun in Aquarius. Now, Aquarius placements throughout this entire year, there's a lot of them. It's going to be a really huge part of the energy that we're working with, not just this year, but for many years to come. If you remember the Great Conjunction, that was a huge part of that shift, is bringing in these air signs, bringing in this energy of change and transformation that is so badly needed. And of course, it's no coincidence that this week, shifting into Aquarius, Joe Biden was officially inaugurated and is in the White House. And so we can kind of see on a global level where this change is coming in and happening. And my intention with this reading for today is to bring it down into the microcosm of our lives and how we are being invited to play a part in that. So it's going to be a little bit shorter this week, and we'll get into it a little bit here in a moment, but I just want to kind of let you know that up front, not as big of a time investment, because the embodiment for the cards that I pulled today is very much so like something I'm going to invite you to go do rather than do here with me, which sometimes that's what embodiment is all about, is aligned action. So let's jump in. The first question that I asked was, what is our medicine for Aquarius season? And the card that came out is the King of Swords. Now, refocus, there we go. The King of Swords is a huge truth teller. It is a card of speaking what is in here and bringing it out into the world. Now, whether that is actually through speech or through other forms of communication, the King of Swords energy is all about owning what our truths are, what we know in our bones to be true, to be right for us. And this can be happening, kind of on a small scale, like in our families, or slightly larger scales in our communities, when we're being invited to say something or to act in a way that we know is in alignment with our truth, but maybe there's some things showing up there kind of blocking our ability to fully step into it. I mean, and the first thing with the King of Swords, that we have to be willing to own these truths within ourselves, to name them to ourselves before we're going to be able to name them to other people. So this is that invitation right now. If there's something that has been feeling uncertain or tenuous, or like it just isn't quite clicked into place, right now is the opportunity to dive into what's happening there and be super honest with yourself. I mean, be really honest with yourself about what you want and what is in alignment for you. And acknowledging, like, part of Aquarius energy is the sense of radical individuation that serves the collective. And we're not often invited to be ourselves so fully that we are then in service to others. But that's going to be a huge part of the growth and the change that we are bringing into the world, is to say, like, hey, this is me, and it might just be me, but for some reason, it's important for it to actually be spoken out into the world, or to be acted on in the world in a really profound way. The medicine that is going to help us, the energy that is going to help us to actually receive this medicine, is Two of Swords reversed. Now, Two of Swords is a card that invites us to put the blindfold on, like the birds, the ravens are doing in this picture, to actually tie it up and block out external forces. So we come back to this idea of radical individuation with Aquarius energy, of like, actually, how can we block out what is not needed in our field right now? Like, there are some things that we need, right? Like, there are some energies that we need to interact with, whether it's necessity for our jobs or our relationships or support systems that we know we would not be healthy without. I'm not saying block everything out, but get really clear actually on what energy is coming into your field, and give yourself the permission to take a step away if something is not actually serving you. And this is what I'm going to invite you into with the embodiment practice this week, is to perhaps like just start to compile a list if you think while writing like I do, or if you think while meditating, or, you know, whatever it is, going for a walk or something, but like taking in what it is that is sort of on, what is feeding our brains right now, what information is coming into our field that we are consuming, and where we might need to throw a blindfold up, not because there's something wrong with it. It might not be that these things are negative in some way, but because right now, in order to get really aligned with what our truth actually is, we need to not be consuming some external influences. We need to not be consuming from outside of us in order to really hear the unique, authentic, completely individual voice from within, to really align with that sense of only I know what is right for me. I am my own highest authority. And doing what you need to do to block it out, to set boundaries around it. What we need to release this week, or this in Aquarius season in general, actually. So this is where the Fool comes up. Now, interestingly, the Fool is ruled by Aquarius. And these two energies together are all about like leaning into movement, leaning into change, leaning into transformation, leaning into that unique flow of energy that is all us, right? Saying yes to trying something new, to jumping out into the world, right? When it comes up in this position of what are we being asked to release right now, it wants to draw our attention to the stories that are not true, that have kept us from making the leaps. Sometimes the stories are true. Sometimes they are. Sometimes the reasons why we don't say yes is because there is something real there blocking it. Sometimes it's just because we think there's foundation underneath us that isn't actually there. That we think if we go do this, we're suddenly going to be much less secure than we are right now. When in reality, that security isn't actually there. You know, that's part of the imagery in the Fool, is the sense of like the foundation is already kind of shaky. Like the ground is already has that potential to fall out from underneath us. So why are we going to use that as a reason to not go after the unique magic that is ours to claim? You know, like Spirit is inviting each one of us into our full role in this world, our full role. Why are we going to let something that is not true keep us from that? We got to keep ourselves moving forward. And that might mean releasing some things that have felt safe in the past. The card that we are grounding into during this season is the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is all about devotion. We are grounding into devotion to our soul work. And in some ways, devotion to ourselves, devotion to what we were put on this earth to do. And when I say devotion, I mean giving it that prioritized energy, that like nothing else comes before what I am put on this earth to do today. Nothing comes before it. Nothing on the to-do list comes before it, you know? We can find ways of infusing everything that we do with this devotion to our soul work, with this devotion to what we are meant to be doing here. And there's an energy with Page of Pentacles too of, yes, grounding into our, grounding into the earth element within our own bodies, that certainty, that knowing. And when we are kind of in, and it's an interesting thing to work with in Aquarius because there's so much of that airy quality that can feel a little volatile, can feel a little, like uncertain and shaky. And Page of Pentacles says, yes, that is here. And yes, we don't know. To go back to the Fool a little bit, there's a sense like, you're right. We don't know what's going to happen. You're right. Like, okay, but we never know what's going to happen. So we can ground into like, but I know who I am. I know who I am within this context right now. So with the embodiment, how I want to invite you to embody this right now. Like I said, to, make the list or to think through like what things you may need to block out, and then choose some way of showing devotion to the work that you're doing. And this can be as simple as lighting a candle. And also, I'm sorry, when I say work, it may not be your job. In fact, for a lot of people, it's not your job, but there is that sense of, and if you don't know right now, and you can go through ebbs and flows. If you don't know right now, like, what is it that Spirit really wants me to do? This is the time to dive into that and to let your whole body take you in that direction, trust it. Where are you getting pulled to? Can you choose one thing to do that shows that you are committed, that you are going to give it all of the energy that you can? Because when we're in that relationship of commitment with our soul work, when we're in that relationship of trust, and actually this does also go back a little bit to the King of Swords, when we actually trust what our truth is. This is the overall medicine we're working with. When we trust our truth, and we can speak our truth, when we own it. So being in a relationship of commitment with our truth, of commitment to the work that we're meant to do right now, even if it's as simple as lighting a candle, even if it's as simple as, putting the phone in the other room for a night and connecting with somebody important to you, even if it's as simple as, taking 10 minutes to brainstorm, to latch on to an idea that you had and actually flesh it out a little bit, show this energy somehow that you are here with it, that you're going to show up for it. Okay? So we're taking aligned action this week. But before I close, we'll take 3 deep breaths together, and I will send each one of you some energy to help support you in whatever Aquarius season, whatever truths Aquarius season is unveiling for you right now. Drink in the air around you as you inhale. Affirm to yourself, I am here, as you exhale. One more breath. I am here, and what I have to offer matters. Know this, claim this, dear ones. Yeah. I would love to hear how this goes for you, okay? So please feel free to reach out to me or to leave it in the comments and let me know. A couple of quick announcements before I let you get on with it. Next Thursday, January 28th, I have an online full moon alchemy workshop to support coming into full moon in Leo, which is going to be a really exciting kind of combination of embodiment practices and breathing and energy work and some of the juice that we do here, except live and longer. So you can find information about that on my website. And then we also have Anxiety Alchemy coming up on February 13th. And this is a 4-week program that is really designed to be like an immersive process into the relationship with anxiety, approaching it from a very non-linear, getting out of the like fix-it mentality and into honoring the innate wisdom that actually can be a part of the experience of anxiety rather than anxiety blocking it. So really changing that relationship entirely. And again, you can find information about that on my website as well. I'm sending so much love to each and every one of you. I'll see you next week.